Hi, this is Eddy White, and I'm the instructor for the motorcycle culture course at the University of Arizona, and I'm doing an interview with Steve. Steve, thanks for helping me out with this.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, so let's begin. So this is today's date is January 18th. Could you give me your name and age, please?
My name is Steve Paladini. I'm 69 years young.
Okay, and where do you live, Steve?
I live in Sierra Vista, Arizona, down by the border.
Okay, great. And when did you first start riding, or how long have you been a rider?
I've been riding for a little over 50 years. I got started in high school back in 1965, mostly off-road racing. And then in California, Northern California, where I grew up, and I advanced from the beginner or novice class to amateur class to expert class. And then I decided I either need to go pro or go to college. And I realized college was more long-term, and being a motorcycle racer, it's only going to be till about 28 years of age. So I went ahead to the Air Force Academy, but I have been riding ever since. And I've been an instructor since 1989. So this is my 32nd year of teaching motorcycle safety as well.
That's great, Steve. I want to ask you a little bit about your training work also. Just rewinding a little bit. So was there a point like in high school or just before college that you thought about being a pro rider or trying to make a career out of it?
Well, my father brought home a motorcycle for $150, and some of my friends were in motorcycling, primarily dirt motorcycling, because we were too young to ride on the street. So we had an empty lot at the end of the road, and that's how I really got started. And then it ended up being on the track, dirt riding, and the rest is history.
Okay, great. Just jumping we have a list of questions here. Jumping down a little bit, and you're a very experienced rider. Steve, how would you identify yourself? I mean, just in terms of terminology, and some people say a biker, a rider, motorcyclist, motorcycle enthusiast. Do you have a preferred way of identifying yourself?
I'd have to say motorcycle enthusiast. A biker, to me, sends the wrong image. A rider is very myopic, where you just ride a motor vehicle. I'm definitely a motorcycle enthusiast. I like riding as much as I do talking about it, going to bike shows, going to rallies, talking to other people as well. So I'm definitely an enthusiast.
Okay, great. Steve, currently, what type of bike or bikes do you ride?
I've got a Honda ST 1300, 2004. I do keep my bikes quite a while because they become part of the family, and I basically fit like a hand in glove with them. And then I've also got a 2010 BMW R1200 GS, which is a adventure motorcycle.
Okay, great. Do you feel a sense of loyalty to any of the brand names in bikes or any bike brands?
I used to years ago, but teaching motorcycle safety, I've had the unique opportunity to ride many different motorcycles. I've also done demo rides for various dealerships, and I've worked the international motorcycle shows as well as a vendor. And so I really don't have one brand or marquee of motorcycles. And I think it would be selfish if I did narrow it down to one or two makes or model motorcycles.
Yeah. Okay, great. Steve, I mean, motorcycling is also a part of your work with the training. Is it, how often do you get a chance to go out riding for fun and just, that's doing the riding unrelated to work?
Regrettably, I don't do it that often because I have a 5-day work week in my other job. And then on the weekends, I typically teach motorcycle safety. So very infrequently do I ever get to hit the open road, but I'm probably going to retire this year and then do a little more traveling.
Okay. Steve, when you do ride, what kind of protective gear, what do you wear when you ride?
Well, there's an acronym called ATGAP, all the gear, all the time. And at my age, I've also got a lot of acronyms. And one of my acronyms is always dress to crash. Not that you will crash. It's not a matter of if you will crash. A lot of people say it's just a matter of when. I don't believe in that. But I always wear all the gear all the time. And from my off-road racing experience, I know that a full face helmet offers the most protection. And also full riding gear offers the most protection. And of course, it's advanced through the years. So safety protective gear today with motorcyclists is a quantum leap from when I started riding in the 60s.
Okay, I bet. Steve, I want to ask you a little bit about just your comment there. I was reading recently about Well, this woman, she was saying that the trainer that she had, she said that he told her that he'd been riding motorcycles for 30 years and never had any accident or been down or anything. And you just mentioned that some people think that it's only a matter of time, but you kind of disagree with that sentiment, I think.
Yes, I do. I think you've got to ride your own ride. You've got to ride within your confidence level and your skill level. Obviously, motorcycle education is a journey and not a destination. So, is there a chance you could crash on a motorcycle? Of course so. But I'm living proof that you can crash, and it's so minimal, you'll probably even forget about it. And that was the case in my case.
Okay, great. And I guess you of course know, and I'm sure you teach and probably talk about this in training, that, the more skillful you get at riding, your chances of having an incident like that start decreasing as your skill level and your abilities go up.
Absolutely. It's called a risk skill offset. But obviously, if you take more risk, you better have accompanying skill that goes along with it. And of course, as you do increase your skill level, you can take a little more risk, but realize risk is manageable, risk is measurable, but you've got to stay within your comfort level as well as your skill level.
Yeah. Okay, good. Steve, just your experience of being a rider, did you prefer to ride alone or ride with groups of people? And over your years, did you belong to any motorcycle clubs?
I've belonged to a few motorcycle clubs over the years. I really enjoy riding alone because it lets me set my own pace. And frankly, one of my motorcycles has an 8.5 gallon tank. So I can ride 4 times what the group can normally ride as they stop and get gas. And of course, gas turns into bathroom breaks. So I'm definitely a lone rider, although I probably am the exception.
Okay, great. Steve, I guess it brings me to kind of the next question, and you like riding alone. And what is your primary motivation for riding? What is it that you find so enjoyable about riding a motorcycle?
I think the biggest thing I find about riding motorcycles is the sense of fulfillment in that I've lived another day. Motorcycling can be inherently dangerous, primarily because of the other motorists out there. I was a fighter pilot in the Air Force for 30 years, from 73 to 2002, and I learned how to survive in combat aircraft, both from terrain avoidance as well as enemy aircraft trying to shoot you down. So I'm in a unique situation where, from my Air Force career, I'm used to being the prey, if you will, and riding a motorcycle in the street is no different than having predators out there, which are typically car drivers, of course, and I'm the prey. I would say up to the point of impact, I have tremendous capability over motorists. I out swerve, out brake, out accelerate, out stop a car. But clearly at the point of impact, I'm at the losing end. I'm now definitely the prey.
Okay, Steve, what have you noticed over the years of riding in terms of people in cars and traffic conditions and stuff? I mean, is it becoming any more or less dangerous as a rider over the years?
I think it's become definitely more dangerous. I think the advent of cell phones and texting has caused a terrific difficulty out there on the roadway. Better sound systems in cars, better insulation, better safety may make you feel like you're infallible in a car with airbags and everything else that goes along with driving with other motorists. So I definitely think it's more dangerous today than it is to drive when I was younger, even taking into effect the added safety features that many cars, now come with as far as ABS and other warning systems. Okay.
I guess relatedly, Steve, when you're riding, what is your primary concern, your primary worry when you're out riding?
My primary concern is just survival. I feel like as long as I'm doing a good mental strategy, because after all, motorcycling is primarily a mental sport, not a physical sport. I think survival is my biggest concern. It's not really a worry. I've obviously trained and I've anticipated. I've played the what if game. I never have any surprises on a motorcycle because I think ahead and I think of things that have never even happened to me, but I'm already predisposed on what I need to do, when I need to do it, how I need to do it, and most importantly, I practice, because many maneuvers on a motorcycle, you've got to practice.
Good. You remind me of something also I read recently. The woman, she wrote, she said, expect the unexpected because that's what will bring you down. And I think it's kind of exactly what you're talking about. You're prepared for all possible contingencies.
Exactly.
Okay, great. Steve, if we can switch into a little bit, just asking you a little bit about your motorcycle training. You mentioned you've been doing this training for about 30 years now?
Yeah, since 1989.
Yeah. How did you get into a training role?
Well, I was in the Air Force, and obviously any military service really touts responsibility and mature riding. So I was actually offered by the Air Force to train with the Motorcycle Safety Foundation, which is in existence today. Yeah. So I went to Patrick Air Force Base, got trained to be a Motorcycle Safety Foundation instructor. And as the MSF, as it's called, has added courses. Rather than be a hypocrite, I want to be qualified for every possible course. So I teach 2-wheel courses, 3-wheel courses, more advanced courses, beginner courses, private tutoring. And I've also been qualified in the Lee Parks Total Control course, which is a course outside the MSF curriculum.
Steve, I mean, as you, and you have other teaching experience too, and just as a teacher, I mean, I think I teach a few courses, and I could probably identify a course or a level that I like in particular. Do you have that? Is there a particular level of proficiency or an age level that you enjoy working with as a trainer?
I think the best course that I enjoy is what's called the basic rider course. That's for someone typically who's never ridden a motorcycle before. And it's very rewarding to see both young and old riders take the course. They have a lot of apprehension. They have a lot of fear up front. And I tell them straight out that to ride a motorcycle or to balance a motorcycle and to operate a motorcycle is very simple, but that's skill-based. What I really have to build is their confidence, because if I build their confidence, their skills will come in turn. If I work on skills and the physical aspects without addressing their confidence level, then it's going to be much more difficult. But I think that's the best course. And also, newer riders are more, I affectionately call them sponges. They soak up everything. They don't have any bad predispositions, although a lot of them have bad advice from family members and other friends who are motorcyclists, but that does not mean they're safe motorcyclists.
That's great. Steve, what do you notice? I mean, this group that you particularly enjoy working with, what do you notice about the people who take beginner courses who want to be riders in terms of whether it's age or gender or whatever? Any things that you notice about those people?
I think you can divide the typical basic rider course participant into two factions. One is the younger folks who are interested in motorcycling, typically because of cost or better mileage. Or maybe they've been dirt riders in the past. And then you jump forward about 20, 30 years, and we call those the re-entry riders, people that rode many years ago without any training. They've had kids, they've had job changes, they've had moves, and now they have a little bit more disposable income. So I have noticed a drop off in the millennials, maybe because of smartphones and other conflicts with their schedule compared to the other days. But you do see increasingly more older riders who want to either re-enter or learn motorcycling.
Yeah, and so is with the millennial group, is that part of maybe that there's so much else going on also, and so there's a bit less interest with that generation in terms of riding?
Yes, I think so. And also perhaps there's a little bit of potentially some parental influence. Maybe the moms and dads don't ride or gave up riding years ago, and of course they're concerned about having their son or daughter take up motorcycling and with the potential risk involved with that. So I can't really put my finger on it, but every person takes the course for a different reason. I often ask them at the start of the course why they're taking the course, and I get just a plethora of reasons.
Yeah. Steve, I think something like, I don't know, 80 or 85%, something like that of the riding population is male. And it might be changing a little bit, but is that also reflective of the people you see on the courses that you take?
Yes, the predominant participants are male, and many of them are self-taught. The women I see are either young or more middle-aged, but they take it because they want to ride with their husband or significant other, or they've heard a lot about motorcycling and they want to just check it out for themselves. But it's still a somewhat male-dominated sport. I think also because many motorcycles are getting larger and larger, and of course there comes a certain point where women don't feel comfortable on a bigger displacement engine or a heavier motorcycle.
Steve, why are motorcycles getting larger and larger? Is that because people like me are getting larger and larger too?
No, I think it's just I guess it's the Texas influence. Everybody thinks bigger is better. So there's motorcycles out there, typically like the Gold Wings and the newer BMW's 1800cc, which is 1.8 liter. That's far more than what the average rider would ever possibly ever need.
Yep. Okay. Steve, just transitioning back out again to wrap up and just talking about you being a rider again. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and he stopped riding last year. He's 80 years old, and when he's 79, I think primarily because his wife kind of convinced him into stopping. So do you think you'll ever quit riding motorcycles? And if so, when?
No, absolutely not. I even tell my class that when that subject comes up, that after two-wheelers, if age or infirmity, whatever requires me to give up two-wheelers, then I will definitely go to a three-wheeler. It'll basically be a trike, or it could be a sidecar. And my next four-wheeler will be the hearse that has my coffin in the back. But it'd be idiotic to think that a motorcycle enthusiast would ever go from a two-wheeler to a four-wheeler. And that's what I find. I also have several handouts I give out to people about the effects of seasoned riders, seasoned meaning older people. So I've already thought through the vision and the acuity and the dexterity and reaction times, and it just means you got to adjust your riding. That's all. But it's foolish to think you need to give up a sport that you truly love.
That sounds great. And Steve, just a final question for you. You're a very experienced, very skillful rider. What changes have you observed over the years about motorcycle culture?
I think over the years, I think, the biker image really came about early on, but also was heightened from Vietnam and the vets that have come back. Yeah. As those vets, age out, there's less and less of the image of a motorcyclist. And now it's more the utility of being a motorcyclist as far as saving money and insurance and registration and parking issues and things like that. I will say that motorcycles as vehicles demand a lot more of their riders to really optimally use them. They've got a lot of safety features, but just like a surgeon's scalpel, it's the person who holds that scalpel or rides that motorcycle who decides ultimately if risk turns into reward or risk turns into disaster. Yeah.
And maybe an interesting point to end on too, Steve. I mean, lots of changes happening, but that primary thing, the rider and the psychology of the rider, that remains the same. That's always of primary importance.
Exactly. I fully agree with you.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thanks, Steve, for taking some time to share your thoughts about motorcycles and motorcycle culture.
My pleasure. Anytime. Thank you very much. Have a good day.